Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just wondering how many of you might know what IKM stands for. Anyone in the audience? It's just there on the screen. What is it?
Information knowledge management.
Thank you. So information and knowledge management for disaster risk reduction. I think we're all doing a bit of information and knowledge management actually in our work, and we are helping to support risk-informed decision making. And in terms of professionalizing more this subject, we would like to share some of the challenges and opportunities that we have with IKM. So I'm going to invite Mark Harvey to discuss or share a bit of the challenges he's facing.
Yeah.
And why don't you give us a start?
Thank you. My name's Mark Harvey. I'm British. I'm based at the Open Data Institute in London, and I'm working with cities to use information and communication to create resilience and reduce risk. The biggest challenge that I see is that our technological capacity to identify risk is increasing. We have stronger and stronger resolution satellite imagery. We have faster processing power of data. So our ability as experts to assess risk is increasing quite quickly through technology and actually through open data policy. But actually, our capability to communicate risk and engage with the people that actually own the risk is not advancing. Actually, the sector in terms of risk communication is very immature. So we actually don't understand the behavioral mechanisms through which any of us make a decision, for instance, to take out insurance or to consider evacuating our homes. We have poor knowledge about that, and key intermediaries such as journalists are not engaged with as partners in the risk communication process. So that's the biggest gap. But if we come back to data and information, there are also challenges. There are challenges around definitions of data, big data, open data, crowdsourced data. What's all that about? There are problems around data standards themselves, and data quality, and the reliability of data itself. And these are things that cause hesitations from decision makers because they are not confident with the data that is very often reaches them. They often see a huge kind of opportunity in data coming from the crowd. They see its potential, but they actually are reluctant to engage with it because of these reservations. And lastly, there is a proliferation of platforms of data and parallel initiatives that are hard to navigate. There's a maze of them. So many of them seem to be duplicating themselves. They all seem to have some kind of value, but it's very hard to actually understand what you as a decision maker should either invest in, if you're supporting it, or actually use. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. So Mark's just described some of the challenges that we have, and I'd like to invite Ramona Miranda to come on and also share some of the challenges and opportunities from her working context.
Thank you, Sarah. Some of the things that we find that we found with working with IKM systems, it's, I think, fundamental to a lot of it is the financing. How do you finance IKM, not just at project level, but generally across the whole thing? So we did come up with all sorts of innovative ideas over the workshop. We were thinking in terms of a bank for information, and when we say bank, we're not talking in terms of a repository, but we're thinking in terms of the financial, looking at it from a financial perspective, looking at it from perhaps taxing, how do you tax, keeping in mind that it's a public good. Information is a public good, so you have, how are you still able to tax the use of it, and finance IKM systems. So this is a complex thing. This is one of the issues that came up, but one of the things that we hope that we'll be able to address and look at in the sort of framework. Support for IKM is another issue that we always come across. People working in this sector find that the support you even get from the smallest level to a larger level, from even perhaps your own management, is not very high. Is like, they'll just say, get the IT guys to do it, or you know what I'm saying. If you are part of the sector, it's not taken seriously. The content is not looked at, and that sort of challenge is there. Also, that there are no agreed standards and standard definitions. So this is something that I think was touched upon earlier, but we also discussed that a lot, and the harmonization of information. We also thought that the role of at least the civil society and private sector in IKM can be sort of larger than it is at the moment. It's a little limited. And then comes the whole question of language, accessibility. We are talking about information and knowledge for various levels. So it's easy sort of if we pitch at one level or the other, but when you're looking at having, for example, this bank of information, which is accessible by all, we are talking about a lot of challenges. We're talking about the fact that we want the policymakers, the decision makers to be looking at it, to be accessing it. We want perhaps the private sector to be, and other people to be also looking at it, perhaps paying for it a little. Some of the development work that they use, some of the money comes into the IKM systems as well, but we're also looking at language, access in local languages. So it's a whole bunch of challenges that we are faced with. And thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Ramona. So I'd like to invite Sano to come up and just say very quickly, what is one of the challenges that you are facing in your work where information and knowledge management can help? Just
Thank you.
quickly,
I'm
one
Dr.
example.
Sano. So one of the key challenges in the information and knowledge management is the engagement or participation of the decision makers in knowledge management issues. So when the issue comes of knowledge management, then the big boss tells, please see my press secretary. And then it always not come properly to the top management. So the decisions in knowledge management, it does not make in a very proper way. So I think if we can address the decisions of the top decision makers in the IKM issues, then that can help us better. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've been hearing about some of the challenges, but we want to also present opportunities. Basically, this community of information and knowledge managers, but also just users, stakeholders, all of us who are wishing to better use information and knowledge in a correct way to inform our decision making, we have aimed to outline for you some of the key elements. And we have a framework, and we have a corresponding scorecard to assist you in your work if you're interested in a copy of that. And we would invite you actually to join us as we strengthen this initiative, which is a collaborative and community-driven process. And these elements that we've been discussing that we need are those of the enabling environment, the system user and stakeholder demand analysis, and the appropriate support technology. These are some of the things you've heard about from Sano and from Ramona and from Mark. And particularly the stakeholder engagement, and that means, again, involving managers and producers of information.
How much time do we have?
The communicating impact and sustainability is really the end key. And then I'm going to invite Loy now to speak to us about a bit the future. So we're going to get the gong, Loy, in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You've heard a lot about the challenges, and I think there's good news also that we did a preliminary stock taking, and we found that there is, in fact, sometimes a surfeit or an enormous range of initiatives on information knowledge management for decision making, whether targeting policymakers, whether targeting community practitioners, whether targeting the communities at risk. We also found that there were wide divergences, there were different approaches, but there were a lot of success stories. And we focused on the challenges of scaling up, of who's doing what, and how do we get to reaching more people and working more effectively and efficiently. We committed a very ambitious roadmap up to 2030, but we also specified what we need to do in the next 2 years, and those 2 years were things we should have done maybe 5 years ago. So we recognize that we've made several false starts, but potentially we are at a new beginning. And over the next 2 years, we aim to do a stock taking of who is doing what on the subject. Mr. Dutt Chakravarti, for example, was involved in the South Asia disaster management community. We have work done by ASEAN. We have ADPC and ADRC who are also in this audience, just in Asia alone. In the Pacific, we have a more homogeneous group. Yesterday, we heard of the Americas and splendid initiatives at different scales. What we are ambitiously aiming to do is to create a web of these initiatives at 3 levels: global, regional, and national, and to learn from and inspire each other. And where we are overlapping or duplicating, to try and eliminate the duplication and increase the synergy, use existing resources more efficiently so that we deliver faster and better. And I think we are confident that we can do this because of the leading role which Prevention Web already plays in the community. We had yesterday participants from IFRC, from the Children and Youth, from GFDRR, from UNDP, and I think we have key ingredients at the global level to come together. So too, we identified at least 4 regions where there is willingness to go: Asia, the Pacific, the Americas, and Europe. We didn't have too many people from Africa. We realized we need to go at the regional level. And finally, of course, do good work in each of our nations and in each of our communities. So I think that if there's time for one question or comment, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so you've heard a bit about the challenges and opportunities. I'm sure you could identify with all of them. I mean, information and knowledge is something, right? I mean, this is the information age. We're all exchanging information constantly. We're producing knowledge. We're exchanging messages. We're trying to make sense of it all. And there are systemic approaches, and there are ways for us to coordinate our work. And we do have tools. We're working on them. We're developing them. And we're aiming to do so from global to regional, down to national and local. We have a vision for 2030, but we would invite you to join us to discover what that is. And we will be taking some of the next steps, as Loy has outlined, by 2017. So we would invite you to go to preventionweb.net/go/IKM for DRR. Join this community. It's a global community of practitioners, users, and I hope decision makers among you. And please help us to help you better inform decision making.
Since we have 2 minutes, or 1
I think
minute,
we've got 1 minute. Comments?
Let me add one more thing, that this is not just about a community of practice of individuals. This is about a web or a network of organizations. Many organizations are already doing, they have their own mandates. We respect those mandates, but we need to work together. And very often we do have overlapping mandates. We can work together better, and that's what we'll aim to do. So the we is all of us in this, and those who are outside this so-called circle, which needs to be widened.
So who's with us? Who's with us? Who's with us? I want more people. All right, thank you. Please join IKM for DRR.